Hello guys, this is Professor DK and welcome to another episode of the Timetable app series. If you haven't already watched my previous two videos, make sure you give them a look. I'll leave the link in the description below. So, as I'll give a brief summary of what we had done in the previous video. So, as you can see, we had created a layout in which we had defined the card views which have to be plugged into each of the list views. So this was our main design blueprint. So we completed the design of the card views. Now what we need to do is just plug in each one of these card views into the list view. So to do that, we need to head over to the main activity.java. But before that, we need to do a couple of things. Like in activity main, we have defined our toolbar. So we need to set up our toolbar and also the list view. So each one of these need to be set up first before we head on to the card view. So for that, let's give our list view a name. So I'll give this an ID. So just type ID and you can see that Android Studio will autocomplete it for you. And let's name this as LV main. Alright. So now we can head over to main activity.java and we can set up the UI views for each one of them. So I normally prefer writing all of my stuff outside onCreate because I do not like crowding my onCreate. So I like creating functions which help me with specific tasks. Now suppose I need to set up my UI views for each of the layouts. I create a function called as setup UI view. So in this function I write all of the I set up the IDs for each one of them. So now suppose if I want to reference my toolbar and my list view, I'll just do it in my setup UI view. So here what I need to do is first I need to set up my toolbar. So create the variable here. So we have private toolbar. Okay, so we have defined our toolbar. Now we also need to define our list view, and let's just call this as list view. Alright, so now we have to reference these variables with the IDs that we have defined in activity main. So for that, we'll just do a find view by ID quickly. So toolbar is equal to typecasted with toolbar. You know how this is done. I've done this a couple of times right now. And inside this, I need to provide the ID that I defined in my XML layout, which is toolbar main. So as you can see, it's capital. So toolbar main. Alright. So once this is done, we can do it for the list view as well. So do a referencing by using the find view by ID. So r.id.lv main. Okay. So now that we have referenced both our now that we have set up our UI views, we can go ahead and set up the toolbar as well. So create another function called private void initialize. We'll call it init toolbar, a short for initializing toolbar. So what we need to do is, so inside our init toolbar function, we need to set the support action bar and we need to provide toolbar as a parameter. Next we need to get support action bar and dot set title is basically the function which is used to set the title for the app. So let's just call this the timetable app. Alright, so we have set the action bar as the toolbar because simply calling this a toolbar in our activity main.layout, what happens is it sets the toolbar, but it is a dead piece of widget. It's not interactive, it doesn't do anything. So to make sure that you can interact with this toolbar, you need to set this in our main activity.java. So now this piece of code set title gives the title to the toolbar. So now that we have written both of these functions, to call these functions we need to reference this in our main activity, which is onCreate. So firstly we need to set up the UI views and then we need to call the toolbar. The order is very much necessary because as you can see, the toolbar is initialized here and then it is used. So you can only use a particular widget only after you have defined it. So make sure you put setup UI views first, and then you can call the init toolbar, or else you might it might result in a runtime error. So alright, so now that we have initialized our toolbar, we need to create an adapter for our list view. So go ahead and type public class simple adapter extends base adapter. So you should see that Android Studio will complete it for you. So extends base adapter, and inside this, since we have extended base adapter, it will require you to implement the methods which are given here. As you can see here in the text, they say that it must either be declared abstract or implement the abstract method getCount. Now to do that, you just need to place the cursor on the base adapter, and you can see that a red bulb glows on the left side. So you can just click on that and just click on implement methods. So there are 4 methods defined inside the base adapter. So just make sure all of them are highlighted and then click on OK. So inside the base adapter, so these are the methods which are present. So now that we have got our implement methods, so we just need to do one more thing here. So we need to set up a constructor. So if you are new to Java and if you don't know what a constructor is, so a constructor is basically like a function which runs whenever this class is called. So firstly, we need to define a couple of things, like we need a context. So let's call this context. And if you're seeing this, so basically it means that this package has to be imported. So click on somewhere at the end of the line and click on Alt Enter. So the package will get imported by itself. And then we also need a layout inflator. And we need 2 text views. We also need 2 string array. So private string array. Let's call this title array, and we also need another string array. You can either define it in the same line or in a separate line. So we'll just call this description array. Okay, so you must be wondering, what are these variables and why I'm creating all of this. So this simple adapter is basically the layout which is given to the list view. So this layout basically corresponds to our main activity single item that we have created. So in our main activity single item, you see that we have our image view, we have 2 text views, and also another text view which it remains constant across all of this. So these 3 widgets remain variable across the list view, because as you can see in the image, you see that click to no more remains constant, and everything else changes from the image view to the title to the description. All 3 changes. So for that sake, we need to define the image view, the text views. So in main activity.java, inside the simple adapter, we have defined our title array and description array. And you must also be wondering I have not defined my image view, so let's define that as well. So image view, let's call this as image view. Alright, so we have defined all our variables now, and now we can create our constructor. So public simple, make sure you have the capitalizations correct. So public simple adapter. So since it's a constructor, we'll give it 3 parameters. So context and string array, so title and a description as well. So these are, so basically what I'm gonna say is, I didn't type this as title array and description array because you might get confused with this. because this simple adapter will be a function which will be called by our by the main function later on when we have to implement when we have to plug this into our list view. So let's just say that this is a title array. As you can see, it is a string array, and this also is a string array. So we have a simple adapter constructor which takes in 3 parameters, which is the context, the title array, and the description array. So inside this constructor, firstly we need to, these are all private. The variables which are defined here are private. So we need to set these private variables with the public parameters that we receive whenever the function is used. So you just need to set this. So context and our string arrays. So the title array will be given to the title, and the description array is equal to description. And the last thing is the layout inflator is equal to layout inflator dot from context, and inside this we need to provide the context, which is context itself. So do not worry about this last line, layout inflator. So basically what the layout inflator does is it basically allows you to load different layouts into a particular view. So we'll be seeing how this function is, what this does later on in the video. So just forget about this for now. So inside the get count, what we need to do is we need to return the length of our title. So for that we just need to do title array dot length. So that will basically return the length of our title. So that is the use of the get count. And get item, just need to return the position of our title. So for that just call this title array, and inside this just put position, and in get item id we'll just return the position itself. Alright, so do not worry about this for now, because you'll be seeing their implementations later and you'll understand them better. So inside the public view getView, this is basically the function which does all of the stuff, and let's just start with that. So inside this, firstly remove the return view. What we need to do is firstly we need to set the different view. So if convert view is equal to null, then we need to set convert view is equal to layout inflator dot inflate r dot layout dot main activity single item, and we need to provide another parameter which is null. There is no view group. And also the next thing we need to do is we need to come out of the loop. And so what is this piece of line doing? So what it does is basically if our view is null, so it takes the convert view is basically the present view that is available, and it inflates our activity single item, the card view, into our list view. Next we need to set up our title. So title is equal to text view, typecast it, convert view dot find view by id r dot id dot. So title, you need to check what we have given as the id for our title. So in main activity single item, open text, and in this, so the id of our title is tv main. Inside main activity dot java we need to reference it with tv main. So we'll do the same thing with description as well. So description is equal to text view, typecast it again, text view, convert view dot find view by id r dot id dot tv description. Okay, so in this line of code, I guess it gets pretty clear to you what this is doing, because I mean, if you see this is basically the main activity. So this Java file, corresponds to only activity main.xml. Basically the layout, it needs is the activity main.xml. So how do you access main activity single item when you already have a main layout? So for that we need to use the convert view. So that's where convert view plays an important role. So what this does is it handles control, it handovers control from main activity to main activity single item. So to do that we use layout inflator, which inflates our main activity dot single item and gives it to our convert view. And here in the next line we see that we go into this convert view, and now that the convert view has our main activity single item, we can reference our TV main and TV description, because TV main and TV description aren't present in activity main, but they're present in our main activity single item. So that's where convert view plays a role here. So that's why we have written convert view dot find view by id and not just find view by id, which we have done in our previous case when we have defined our toolbar, because this is present in our main layout and not necessarily in our main activity dot single item. So that's why the convert view is used here. So next what we need to do is we need to set up our image view as well. So convert view dot find view by id r dot id dot iv main. All right, so next we need to set the text for our title. So title dot set text, inside we need to give the title array and the position, because we can't set an array of strings to a string item. We need to give only a single item, so that will be the function of position, which is defined here. So the position gives the particular position of the title inside this array. And next for the description we'll do the same thing, description array and the position of this as well. All right, so we have this. And next what we need to do is, if you have seen the image, you can see that we have different images for each one of them. So we need to set different drawable images for our image view. So what we'll do is, before we begin with this, let's just add some images to our drawable file. So I've added all the pics inside my drawable. So if you want these pics, make sure you download them from the description below, and then just make sure you add them to the drawable folder located wherever your file is located. So I've just added the pics in my drawable folder, so that's how I can see them here. So now, so before we begin setting the drawable to our image view, we need to do one more thing. So inside our strings.xml we need to create another string array, and let's just call this main. And inside this we need to set up items. So first item is the timetable. Basically an item inside a string array are basically different strings which you can place, and it can be of any size, and subjects, faculty, resource. So I have defined our items which have to be there in our main activity. So we have 4 items: timetable, subjects, faculty and resources. So we need to set up image drawables for each of them. So for that I'm gonna use a simple if condition. So in if condition I'll use the title array, provide the position. So what this is doing is basically the title array will be later on we'll be seeing that the title array will be getting the array from this. So I'll be referencing it to this, and we have to make this is index 0, 1, 2, 3. So string the title array position, basically for different positions it gives the different values which will be timetable, subjects. So we need to do equals ignore case, and let's just give this the string timetable. All right, so inside this you have to set the image view dot set image resource r dot drawable.timetable. So what this does is basically it checks if our title is equal to timetable. If it is so, then set the image of the timetable. So once it's done, you will use again a simple else if. So inside this again we need to provide the same thing, except we need to change the string from timetable to subjects. So instead of timetable, just make it subjects, and again we need to set the image resource for our image view. So now that we have completed our simple adapter, we just need to plug in this adapter to our list view. So firstly we need to define our list views, so which I have already done before. So we can simply create a function called private void setup list view. Alright, so inside our setup list view function, firstly we need to get the title. So for that we'll create a variable string array, and to get the string array from our strings.xml layout, we need to do a get resources dot get string array r dot array dot main. So you must be asking why main, because if you observed, we have defined our string array as main, so that is why I've called it main. And before we call the create another string array for a description, I just forgot that I have never created an array for description. So let's just call this description. Make sure you type it properly. So we have our string array description. So I'm just gonna type in some random stuff. So something like description 1. Alright, so now that we have created our description string array, we can reference it here. So string array description is equal to, again we need to repeat the process, get resources dot get string array r dot array dot description. Alright, so we have both our string arrays. So now we need to call the adapter. So simple adapter, we need to give an object name. So let's just call this as a small case simple adapter is equal to new simple adapter. And as you know, our simple adapter function takes in 3 parameters. So first one is the context. So let's provide the context, which is this, which is main activity dot this. And second, it takes the title array and then the description array. So if you didn't observe, again I'm just going to show this to you. So inside our simple adapter, so we have our constructor which takes in context, string array and string array, again which is the title and description. So we need to provide these 3 parameters for it to work. So that's why we are doing this. So now that we have created our adapter, we can just set it to our list view. So list view dot set adapter, and it takes a parameter which is the simple adapter itself. So give it parameter. So this sets the adapter to our list view. So now we can go ahead and run our app. I observe that there is some error here. So if you observe at the right, you can see a red line. Oh, okay, so we are missing a return statement. So just add return convert view. Okay, so the error has gone. So now you can go ahead and run the app. So I just ran my app and I saw that there are a couple of things which have gone wrong, etc. I mean, like if you observe the title here, we can see that timetable app appears in black color, which isn't clearly visible considering the darker background. And also we can see that our card views have been loaded perfectly, but considering that there are only 4 card views here, so it gets cut at the bottom and a scroll view is visible at the side. So, and another thing to observe is that we can see that the title and the description can be further lower so that it aligns with our images. So that is one more change that we have to make. So let's just go ahead and quickly make all of these changes. Firstly, we observed that the toolbar title wasn't visible, so we just need to do app. So just type title and we can see that there's an option of app title text color. So just click on app title text color. So we need to set this as white because that will be clearly visible, but the color, so we need to set the color as well. So go to values and click on colors.xml, and in colors.xml we'll just add another color which is white. So just copy paste this and we'll call this white color. So call this white, and to get the white color just click on the square box that is there at the left corner and then click on white color and click on choose. So we have our white color here. So go to activity main and we can set this color to white at color/white. So we have the white color for our toolbar. So next thing that we observed was our title and description need to be further lower because our image the starts at somewhere around here. So what we'll do is we'll push this further down. So we'll just give it a margin top of maybe 6 dp. So margin top of 6 dp, and also if you observe we see that when the title goes down, we see that even the description goes down. So that will do for us. So another thing that we noticed was our list view got cut out at the end. So that is because our relative layout is match parent, while our list view is wrap content. So instead what we need to do is we need to set our height to be wrap content so that all the content is perfectly shown in the layout. So wrap content, and our list view is basically match parent. So it was a logical mistake because as you know that the list view is basically embedded inside the parent. So the parent should encompass all the things that are defined here, and that's why the height should be wrap content, while list view can take the entire parent, which is the entire space available in the relative layout. So these are the couple of changes that should be done for our app to look great. So now that we have done the changes, we can quickly go ahead and click on instant run, and we can see the changes in our app. So we can see that now our timetable app, the title is clearly visible against the dark background, and also we can see that it isn't cut off, the list view isn't cut off at the bottom, and everything is perfectly visible. So if you have another column which is added to our string array, we'll see that the scroll view again comes back, and we can see that the title and the description further below, which are aligned with our images. So this makes everything perfectly aligned and look much more professional. In the next video I'll be showing you how you can create the timetable activity. So thank you guys. If you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. If you didn't understand something, or if you disliked something about the video, make sure you leave a comment rather than just disliking this video. So that will help me improve a lot. So let's meet in the next video. So until then, subscribe and have a great day. Thank you for watching.